Just what was OS2 for Windows? Didn't OS2 run Windows programs anyway? So what was this for Windows version? Well, let's install it and find out. As always, we're doing this on my IBM PC300GL, which dates back to 1998, so it's real hardware and not a virtual machine. This is MS-DOS 6.22 and Windows 3.1. I've installed the drivers for the Creative Labs Sound Blaster 16 and for the Matrox Millennium graphics card. I've also installed Microsoft Office. We don't actually install OS2 for Windows from Windows. We have to reboot the computer with the OS2 installation floppy disk inserted, and then it installs like regular OS2. There are a couple of slight differences though, so whilst I'll speed up most of the installation steps, I'll slow it down when we get to the points that need attention. Since it's OS2 for Windows, it doesn't come with the Windows code as part of the product. It requires that we provide some of the Windows disks during the installation. To make it easier, I've actually copied all of those to a folder on the hard drive just here. OK, well let's exit Windows, insert the first floppy disk, and reboot. Here's the first difference during the installation. In my previous OS2 installation videos, we formatted the drive to clear all data so that we could use HPFS, the high-performance file system. We can't do that here, we need to leave it as is, so it finds our existing Windows installation. Next we get a message about the OS2 dual boot feature. Regular OS2 can do this as well, but we didn't see this in the previous videos because we were wiping the drive rather than installing alongside an existing DOS and Windows installation. We'll make a note of these steps and we'll do these changes before we attempt a dual boot back to DOS later on. There was actually a supported way to back up your Windows folder, do the installation on a formatted HPFS partition, and then restore your Windows folder, but that was beyond the capabilities of most people at the time because home backup devices of any significant storage capacity didn't really exist then. The OS2 installation routine searches for existing Windows programs on the hard drive that we've already installed. So if we scroll up a bit, we should see Microsoft Office or Microsoft Word. There we go, there's Microsoft Word. So we go ahead and click Migrate to bring in all those applications. Now the installation is asking for my Windows floppy disks. I copied these earlier to C, Rix Labs, Win31. So that's where we point it. And again. And again. And once more. And that's it. OS2 2.1 for Windows is now installed. I'm going to go through a few additional installation steps to give us a useful working installation. The first thing I need to do is reinstate support for my IDE CD-ROM drive using selective install. Now that my CD-ROM drive is installed, I can install Multimedia Presentation Manager to give me audio. So I change the drive D, CD into MMPM2 and run minstall. With MMPM installed, the next step is to install the XR06300 fixback to take me up to OS2 2.11. This uses a couple of boot disks along with another set of files that I've copied onto the hard drive earlier on. And now I can install the Matrox Graphics drivers, which require OS2 2.11. So they're in RixLabs, matrox.os2, and we run install. We don't want to overwrite the driver files in our Windows folder, because these OS2 drivers are actually slightly older than the Windows 3.1 drivers. Alright, finally, OS2 2.1 for Windows with a decent resolution. That took approximately 40 minutes from the time we started the installation. Let's take a look at our WinOS2 Programs folder and check that Microsoft Office still runs. Let's try Microsoft Word. To do this, OS2 is actually starting Windows in the background. It doesn't show us Program Manager, it just starts the Windows core, and then it runs Word 6. Let's try Excel. Windows starts in the background quicker this time because it's already cached. And there we go. That's Excel. Okay, remember that orange screen during the installation? Well, let's make those changes so we can then boot back into DOS and Windows to make sure that's still okay following our OS2 installation. First of all, I'm just going to replace that horrible grey background with a nicer yellow one. There we go. So we're going to drop to a command prompt. And we need to find where it moved our config.sys and autoexec.bat from our original DOS installation. I know it renames them .dos, so we just need to look for those. There we go. They're in COS2 system. Alright, so let's edit config.dos. Whoops, that was config.sys, not what I meant. Let's try that again. Config.dos. And the line we needed to add was shell equals c dos command.com /p. Right, we'll save that and exit, and then we need to edit autoexec.dos. And on this one we need to add set comspec equals c dos command.com, and then we save that again and exit. And with that done, we can boot back into DOS and Windows. So to do that, we use the dual boot icon that you can see there, and we say yes, and off we go. Booting into Windows, we can see that everything is still fine. We've got a message there about the Matrox MGA display utility not running in the startup folder. That's fine. Let's quickly check Word. That's all looking good. We'll move the Microsoft Office toolbar out of the way. And then we'll check Excel for good measure. Yeah, that's fine too. Alright, let's install XTree Gold here in Windows, and then we'll see if it shows up automatically when we reboot into OS2. So I'm going to launch the setup program for XTree Gold. It's looking now for previous installations. I'm going to install it into my WinApps folder, which is where I install all Windows apps for OS2. And off it goes with the installation. XTree Gold is very similar to Central Point File Manager as well. Alright. And of course, because it's Windows 3.1, we have to restart Windows. Once it comes up, we'll just give it a quick check and make sure it runs okay. Yeah, there it is, and Help About shows that it's XTree Gold for Windows. Now to reboot into OS2, we need to exit Windows, and then once we're back at a command prompt, we cd into OS2, and we type boot/OS2. We get a similar message that we saw when we were in OS2, asking to boot to DOS. It moves a few files around on the hard drive, and then it reboots. And here then is a little quirk of OS2's dual boot feature. By default, OS2 reopens any programs or windows you had open when you shut down the system. And of course the last thing we had running was the dual boot program. OS2 therefore unhelpfully asks us if we want to reboot into DOS mode again. No thanks OS2, we're staying here. That's an easy fix with a single line in OS2's config.sys file, but it's curious that it wasn't caught in testing by IBM. I guess they didn't reboot between DOS and OS2 very often. Right, is our XTree Gold program folder there? No, it doesn't look like it. That's okay. Here's how we add programs to OS2 that were installed while we were running Windows. We go to OS2 System, then System Setup, and then Migrate Applications. We target our drive C and let it scan for applications. Once it's finished, if we scroll down, we should see XTree Gold. There it is. So we click on Migrate and then Exit. There's no harm in letting it remigrate the existing applications. Now we should find it in our WinOS2 groups. Scroll down, and there it is. Let's give it a go. Windows starts in the background, and oh dear. XTree Gold needs Windows Enhanced Mode. OS2 2.1 can't do that. That needed OS2 Warp. So we'll have to give up with that application, but we do have another one we can try. I've got PaintShop Pro 3 on here. So to find the installer for that, we go to the regular Windows File Manager, and then into my Rix Labs folder, PSP30, and we'll run it. And again, I'm going to pop that in WinApps. Okay, and off we go. Now that we're doing the installation within OS2 for Windows, are we going to get a program group this time around? It looks like it's creating one for us. Yeah, it's there in Program Manager. Okay, well let's close that. And we'll have a look in our WinOS2 group and see if it's there. Nope, it doesn't look like it. Alright, not to worry. We will just run the Migrate Applications again. Once again, we tell it to search drive C. We let it run and scan the disk. Then scroll down and we're looking for PaintShop Pro. Okay, great, there it is. Let's migrate. OK, and exit. Do we have a program group? Yes, we do. Excellent, there we go. So let's try PaintShop Pro. Windows are starting in the background. Not a lot else seems to be happening. Okay, let's try the Browse app instead. No, okay. How about the README, which should open in Windows Notepad? No, that's not doing anything either. Okay. Well, let's just do a reboot then, and we'll see what happens. Alright, here is OS2 back. So we take a look, and we should find our program folder again. It's going to pop into a file manager as well. And there we go. So remember I said that OS2 restarts programs you had running? Well, I guess the PaintShop Pro browser was running. So let's give it a folder to scan for images. And there we go. It's picking up all the default images that came with PaintShop Pro. We'll let this finish, and then we'll open one, and it should open in PaintShop Pro. You can see that it's opened that README file, the notepad behind us. Yeah, there we go. PaintShop Pro 3 for Windows running on OS2. Well, there we have it. OS2 for Windows. Not at all different to regular OS2 2.1. Just a slightly different installation method and slightly cheaper to purchase, since IBM didn't have to buy a Windows 3.1 license from Microsoft for every copy that they sold. It didn't come with Windows, you had to use your own Windows. That was a benefit to IBM, a benefit to the consumer because it was cheaper, but other than that, no difference between the two products. Really, it was a forerunner to OS2 Warp Redbox. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.